Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 418 of the Stacey West podcast. It is a Bemily special. I am your host, Ben, and I'm joined by Emily. How you doing? You keeping well? Oh, you froze for a second there for me.
Ooh. Have I? Oh, I do apologise. I hope I've not got internet issues again. But hello, everybody. I am here, frozen or not, for a Bemily special. How are you, Ben?
I'm all right. Yeah. I think we were talking off air, and I think we're both just a bit sleepy today and a little bit tired. So we'll try and keep the energy up as much as we can. But yeah, we both sort of late nights back from deepest, darkest Yorkshire last night. But yeah, I don't think we've really got anything amazingly banterous to talk about at the minute. It's just one of those moments, isn't it, where like we've been fine. We've been plodding on and doing life stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, life has been lifing. You know, I've had a couple of days off work, which is nice. I didn't have to get up early for work today after the late night last night. But life is just lifing. I laid some laminate flooring. It's as good as it gets, I'm afraid.
yeah, I mean, if that's the highlight of the the banter section, it's an odd one. I mean, we don't have any fridge updates for anybody, unfortunately. You know, we can't give you the same levels of what was the phrase? Was it laid down milk based situation? I think was the thing that you and Gaz said repeatedly a few times. I was like, that's a phrase, isn't it? Yeah, we can't give you any laid down milk based situations, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, the only thing that I've got really was that I had my first big night out in quite a while on Saturday. I've not with a lot of stuff that's been going on. I've not had a chance to get out, and a few of my friends decided to play pub golf to celebrate the arrival of a friend of mine's new child. And yeah, I think the thing that I took from that first and foremost is that I'm probably a bit too old to be playing pub golf. It just got quite messy. I mean, I did win, but at what cost? Because Sunday I was spent with a friend and their two relatively small children, so it was just the perfect antidote to a hangover, really. Yeah, that's
I've never played pub golf.
So it's weird. Pub golf, like, are you aware of the rules at least? No. I think we may be having a few minor internet issues, but yeah. So basically, you get your drinks.
I think it might be me. Sorry.
That's all right. But you get your drinks, and that's your par for the pub. And then you have different challenges, and if you do the challenges, you go under par for the pub, and then you go on to the next one, and then so on and so forth. And yeah, I ended up coming in a ridiculous score at the end of it all, and yeah, I felt it on Sunday, if I'm honest. And yeah, like I said, the underlying thing is I'm probably a bit too old to be doing this anymore. And then we had a day to rest on Monday, and then yesterday we went over to Bradford. As you can probably have seen from our man of the match clip that went live, we both attended the game. We both sort of met up afterwards and beforehand. Actually, we were thinking, oh yeah, it'd be nice to bump into you. And then, sure enough, we bumped into each other as we were there, as we were getting into the stadium. So yeah, the journey wasn't so much fun, was it?
It's a lot further away than I thought, Bradford. Honestly,
yeah.
It was a lot further away, and we got stuck in a bit of traffic about 10 miles outside, which just felt a long slog on top of an already long journey. And I think because it's so dark now, I'm going to do that middle-aged thing, talking about, oh, isn't it dark? Clocks have gone, but it was just dark and long and traffic.
Yeah, dark, long traffic. Just not the most fun. But by the time we finally got to the ground, we got to see a lineup with 3 changes from Saturday, with Justin Abitku coming in, Adam Reach coming in, and James Collins coming in place of Hackett, Draper, and Towler. So the thing that when I saw the lineup, I thought to myself, "Oh, okay, so that's going to be a fun one with maybe Collins in place of in place of Rob Street up top, and then Rob now moving back out to the right where he's been." But that wasn't the case. We saw James Collins dropping back into sort of a deeper role, and that was essentially why he replaced Freddie Draper in that. Would I mean, was that any major surprise for you there, Emily?
I think James Collins was right to come back in.
Yep.
I think the lack of goals and our top scorer on the bench. I completely understand the reasons why, and I've been completely supportive of Collins being on the bench for those other games and other players getting a start over him. But I think probably time to bring him back for this. So not too much of a surprise. Maybe him playing in that slightly deeper role is a little bit of a surprise. But then with Abitku also starting, with his kind of physique and his pace and his ability, makes total sense to have him as the player looking to get in behind the Bradford defence.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? If you're going to play those two together when you only have one up top, Collins is the one that plays a little bit deeper. I think he has to be. And it did feel a little bit surprising to me to see that. Obviously, it was nice to see Adam Reach come back into the starting 11. I thought he'd had, he was having a really good run until he went over on his ankle in training. I would say it probably feels a little bit harsh to Riley Towler, but at the same time, I just feel a little bit more confident with Adam Reach there. He's with the ability to go forward as well, and the delivery that he has. We did see it a couple of times last night that his delivery is absolutely superb. So yeah, I saw the lineup and I think we'd all gone for. I think we'd all gone for draws in our predictions, and I'm not going to mention the predictions too much because I will inevitably be reminded that you've gone top of the table again in our Discord prediction league. But yeah, it just felt okay. Yeah, we can probably we can probably get the draw here and then look to build on that. Because obviously Bradford haven't lost at home this season. We were the first team to stop them from scoring, I believe, at home last night. So 15 out of 17 games at home, and in the last 17 games they've had, they've won 15 of them and they've only drawn 2 of them. So it was a very we knew that it was probably going to be a bit of a battle more than anything else, didn't we?
Yeah, we absolutely did. And I think in a roundabout way, a good place to start this match review is by saying you'd have taken a point before kickoff, wouldn't
you? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, going into it, I think, like I say, we'd all predicted, a draw. I think whether some of that might have been a little bit more of hope than anything else, than expectation. But after 90 seconds, I think we probably thought, oh, we might be able to get something more out of this one if we carry on like that. Because, a lovely, lovely ball over to Justin Abitku with a really nice touch, and then sort of looped it over or sort of in between 2 defenders that were closing him down into Adam Reach's path. Adam Reach comes in, lovely inch perfect ball, I should say, to James Collins. And we know that Gaz loves it, but he's got to score. Gary has made his disdain for the phrase "he's got to score" quite well known in our group chat. But yeah, it's a gilt-edged chance, isn't it? He should probably you'd expect him to put that one away, and he probably should have done.
Yeah, absolutely. It was the best chance of the game, and it came within the first couple of minutes. It was a really nice move, great pullback to Collins, who was just in the right place at the right time, and all he needed to do was what we've been desperate for him to do while he's been on the bench for the past couple of games. And unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, does it? It doesn't work like that. But that chance was the chance with the highest XG for us all game. So it really was the best opportunity. I do stats now. I've learned how to use the stats. So sorry, everybody. I've got some stats.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at that, I think that one, if we are going on the stats, I think that we said that one was 0.3. So you'd expect that to go in, and yeah, it was just unfortunate. But it did give you that little bit of hope initially. You think, oh, okay, maybe we're doing what we do and starting bright, starting positive, high energy, and trying to get the goal nice and early and then pin them, peg them back. But I think we didn't necessarily follow that up with the finishing that maybe the football deserved. And I know this is something that we've spoken about in the Discord with a few people at the minute, where it feels like we are not in a crisis, because it's too early to. Well, it's stupid to say you're in a crisis when you're sitting fifth in the table, but I think we've struggled to score over the past few games, and I think last night somebody commented saying there was maybe a bit of lead in the boots from some players, and I thought, well, it's more that there's helium in the ball than anything else. It just seemed to be going way over the bar. I think from my count, we had, I think, 4 or 5 chances in that first half that few and far between for both sides. Let's be honest. I think in that first half, it felt very attritional, very defensively minded for the most part. But when we did get through, I think I counted Rob Street had a kind of a half chance from 20 yards on the half volley that went high, wide, and handsome. Justin Abitku was forced into putting one over from, to be fair to him, quite a tight angle. Tom Bayliss again, another shot which kind of went all over the place. It just felt like there wasn't too much on target from either side, but I think it genuinely felt like the first goal last night would have won it, but ultimately never came to it.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. I think after the first 20 minutes, we were dominating possession with about 60%. I do stats now. We were dominating the possession with about 60%. It was about 5 shots to 0 in our favour. So that fast start again, we're doing what we do week in, week out. The challenge is, if we don't score within that fast start, then what? And I think that's what's become more and more apparent over the past few weeks. I think we limited Bradford, really. They had a few shots from the edge of the area, which again, actually, the majority of those were high, wide, and handsome as well. So we did really well in limiting them to those kind of efforts. But I think, for that first half, I was quite satisfied with how we played, really. And it really is just that lack of, if you want to call it, composure in front of goal. Yeah. I think there's been criticism about, we're not scoring goals because we're overplaying it in front of goal. But then when players are getting a chance and they're going for it and it's smashed over the bar, it's going, oh, you've snatched at it. So again, you can't win, can you, in either of those situations? But yeah, we had a couple of decent efforts. I think Adam Reach had a shot towards the end of the half, and that was our first shot on target of the game.
Yeah, I remember seeing that one, and it was quite funny actually, because there was somebody behind me. As soon as the ball got hit and you saw it was going on target, it just went yes, and then no. Oh well. But I mean, yeah, looking through it, and in the first half, I think we seemed to be in the right areas. I think there was plenty of passes in the opposition half. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, where are we? Where are my shot numbers? So we had 7 shots, 1 on target in the first half. Bradford had 6 with none on target in that first half. A couple of the Bradford shots, they were close. I think there was one that just went by the left-hand post, but I think the thing that we're probably going to say tonight that we've said repeatedly through the season so far, and undoubtedly will again, we just look really strong defensively. For the most part, I did actually message the group chat at one point. I think it was at half time, saying for the first time I felt a little bit shaky when the ball was getting towards, when they seemed to be getting almost past the back line. There was a couple of instances where I think George Wickens, his decisions weren't the best when he was distributing the ball. I think there was one that went straight out, or two or three that went straight out for a throw in. And you could see, I think there was the eyes, I think it was from Tendai, just sort of look back, and it was, that sort of, the stare, you're like, oh, don't give me that. But yeah, I mean, as you say, coming in at nearly 60% possession in that first half, I was like, this doesn't feel like Lincoln City. What's going on? Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else there is to say about the first half. We just kind of felt. Actually, I know the one thing I did think around the front line, I just felt Rob Street maybe felt a little bit lightweight last night. He seemed to be getting nudged off the ball quite a bit, and I don't know whether that was, the fact that he was on our side and it was more visible to us. It just felt a little bit. Lightweight was the only word I could think to use at the time, and my mind hasn't really changed from that. Any
I think that's
thoughts on
interesting.
that one?
I think we like to use Rob Street as the out ball, kind of getting that long ball often from Wickens kind of out forward and wide. And I don't think he was winning the headers as often as he does, but I do think that Bradford have got a very, very strong back line as well. I think that that's probably plays into that. We didn't see a lot of Tom Hamer's long throw. There was a few occasions where we won a throw in the Tom Hamer zone, as I'm going to call it now, and we took it short because, I wonder if we know that they're going to be strong, they're going to be physical, they're going to win things in the air. So actually pumping long throws into the box, let's try something different. So I understand what you mean, because he wasn't as effective in that kind of outball role against Bradford, but I do think that they were very strong defensively, very physical. I think, I'm sure we'll touch on Justin Obiku's performance as well. But, occasions he was muscled off the ball as well, because I think it was more, for me, it felt more down to their strength rather than our weakness potentially.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, let's come on to Justin Obiku then. I mean, I think we've seen a little bit of debate today in the Discord around Obiku. A couple of people saying that his first touch maybe lets him down here and there. My thought watching the game last night was that actually it's a little bit of the opposite. I've watched the majority of the game back, and I've obviously seen the extended highlights as well. So I will have to go back and just double check a few things. But my feeling with Justin Obiku is that he has the appearance of somebody that is double jointed in literally every limb and every appendage of his body. He has that sort of weird, almost like gangly nature. And you look at him, you don't know what his body's going to do. He just seems to be really unpredictable. But you can see he's clearly got the talent, and he defies his appearance, because there was numerous times when the ball was played over the top, and it sort of landed at his feet. And normally, well, if I were to try and control it, it'd probably go over the bloody stand. But he just stopped it dead with his feet on numerous times when his back was to goal. But when he needed to turn and run, he did that, and his first touch usually took him away from the defender that was trying to close him down. He's an odd character to watch, but I think there's clearly talent there.
Yeah, I think there is. I think he had a really good first half in
Hmm.
particular. I thought that he did look strong when the ball came up to him. As you say, the ball would come up to him. He'd make a decent control. He'd hold it up well, and would, made a couple of really good layoffs actually, to create chances for us in those positions. Also, he was kind of running in behind, kind of in the channels and out wide as well. Um, there's a really good chance or a really good moment in the first half that I think sums it up, where uh, he was kind of racing to the touchline to pick up a ball that kind of looked like it was going out of play, and managed to keep it in, and then Collins was scrapping for it and beat the defender, and then Bayliss slid in, and it was just a really kind of a good moment that demonstrated our kind of endeavour and our work rate in the game last night. But no, I think I described Abikwi with all arms and legs,
Mm.
in our chat, because he is sort of awkward, gangly figure, um, which I think means that he's a handful. He definitely was a handful, caused some problems for sure, and I think maybe his build and his physique, plays a part in that. Um, I think as the second half wore on, I think it was obvious he was looking tired, and that's probably lack of game time and lack of minutes. Um, that's when I felt that his first touch uh, wasn't as good as it had been in the first half. His strength wasn't as strong.
Yeah.
He was getting nudged off the he was getting nudged off the ball a little bit more. I think I put in the Discord that he often had a good first touch, and then his next kind of move to take it beyond beyond a defender, it was just getting nicked off him there quite easily, I felt. But that was late on in the second half. I do think he was tired. Um, but all the way up until that point, especially in the first half, I thought he looked like a raw talent. People talk about players being raw. I think that's a perfect way to describe Abikwu.
Yeah, no, definitely, and yeah. While we've been on air, I've had a message from my wife, and she's just put a GIF in there, and it's of one of the wacky like waving arm inflatable tube men that you see outside the garage. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's probably fair. That's what he looks like. Yeah, I mean, other than that, I think there was a few players that had decent first halves last night. The one area that I thought we maybe struggled a little bit in when Bradford started to hit the transition, it became a little bit more apparent in the second half, actually. But I think Bradford tended to kind of win the midfield battle last night. It's difficult to say that when we've obviously been heaping praise on Conor McGrandles and Tom Bayliss so far this season, but it felt like they maybe got overrun a little bit. And there was a couple of moments in particular where it just looked like either everybody was a little bit too far back, trying to sort of anticipate a bit of an onslaught, or there just didn't seem to be that. It felt like Bradford maybe had a bit too much space in the middle, but ultimately it didn't really lead to anything too damaging.
No, it didn't, and I think that Bayliss and McGrandles, I think they had fairly steady games. I mean, I noticed it's so minor. I noticed a few uncharacteristic slip ups, or giving the ball away, or poor passes, but
Hmm.
minor things. I think they still had a really solid game, and in terms of our midfield, they did everything that they normally do, breaking up play and distributing the ball, keeping it moving forward. I thought they were both as good as they normally are for us, without being absolutely standout last night. But I think they've got Max Power in there, haven't they? Who is
Hmm.
he's a player that we all know and probably love to hate. But
He's
he's an
got the best
experienced
name in
player.
football as well. Absolutely got the best name in football.
Yeah, yeah, it's yes. I think of Homer Simpson every time.
Yep.
Uh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But they've got him in there, haven't they? He's a good player. He's an experienced player. I mean, I think ultimately it felt very even to me.
Hmm.
I feel like we definitely dominated the first 20 minutes, and the stats show that. But from there on in, it just felt like two quite evenly matched teams. And I think think that's, for me, that kind of midfield battle. I think we had areas where we kind of, worked the ball through their middle as well. So it just felt very even to me. And let's not forget, they are, well, at the minute they're second in the league, but they've been up at the top end of the league, all this season so far. They're a good team, and we matched them at the very least. You could, if you're a glass half empty person or glass half full person, I don't know which way around this would be. You could argue we could have nicked it last night.
Yeah,
you could argue we could have nicked it.
Yeah,
but
I actually.
But
Sorry, yeah, I had that conversation.
At least.
Yeah, I had that conversation in the Discord. Actually, I said, come the end of the game, there was a couple of moments in the second half, and it actually leads me to talking about something in a second. But there's a few moments in the second half, and I just thought, if that's gone our way, we've probably got a little bit more of a chance. And I think we probably could have nicked it last night. Had we been maybe given a few free kicks that potentially should have been given. But we were talking in our group chat throughout the first half, and Chris dropped one of his nuggets of wisdom at one point, and he said, "Yeah, this referee's good so far," which he had to retract in the second half for reasons that we'll come on to. But yeah, I thought, for the first half, I think the ref controlled the game really well. The only thing he got wrong, actually, in my opinion, was not booking James Collins for simulation, which we did see. We saw it twice, actually, last night. Once, Collins went down very, very easily under a very light challenge. And then, who was the Bradford lad that did it? A little bit later on.
Yeah, it was
Metcalf, wasn't it? Yeah. He went down on the edge of the box and got the free kick given against him and a yellow card. So, yeah, I think the ref had a decent first half. I think very much like us in that respect. And thankfully, we're not talking about too much of a referee affecting the game come the end of it.
Yeah, I was pleased to see him book Metcalf for simulation because it was quite a bold move. I mean, it absolutely was a dive, clear as day from where we were sitting. But he did well to spot it. But I sort of think because it was just in the middle of the pitch, really, it's not a dive in the penalty area. You're not playing for anything that special, really, if you know what I mean. But to call him up on it and to give him a booking for it, no matter where it is on the pitch, I think is a very strong, bold, and correct decision by the referee. So I was delighted to see that. With the James Collins incident, so the referee blew and pointed to his arm. So I think he may have given that free kick for a handball once James Collins had gone down looking for the foul and touched the ball with his hand or his arm on the way down. So he pointed to his arm. So I think that's what he gave that for.
Okay, that's fair enough then. Yeah, initially I thought it was for the potential simulation, but yeah, if that's the case, then fair enough. That does still make me chuckle actually when you see a player go down and they're looking for the free kick, and then the first instinct is to grab the ball when they're on the floor. It's like, don't do that until the bloody whistle's gone. Like you're trying to force the option, and then I think McGrandle's got booked for that earlier on in the season, actually, if I remember rightly.
Was that against Bolton, away at Bolton?
Yes, it was. Yeah. Yeah, he went down and grabbed the ball. I was like, don't do that until the whistle was gone. But yeah, I mean, by the time half time had arrived, I think the overwhelming feeling, at least around us, was, yeah, we'd take the point here because they were. You've got to give the credit to Bradford, like you say, they've been in and around that top spot for most of the season so far. I can't see too many teams going there and taking all 3 points from them for sure. There'll be a few that get the odd point here and there, but they're a really well organised side. I think a lot of things that people say about Lincoln are going to be the same things that people say about Bradford. They're a well organised side. They know what they're doing. They're physical. I think the thing that I certainly felt last night was that we were going maybe a little bit more direct than we could have done. We weren't necessarily putting it into the box because, again, their keeper was a big lump, and they've got some tall defenders. But when you're when you go in that direct against a team like that, it did sort of devolve into a bit of a battle. But yeah, Bradford are a very good side. I don't think there'll be too many teams that go there and take too much from them over the course of the season.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And yeah, I think it's worth remembering that, isn't it? I think coming away from the game last night, it's worth just having that in the back of your mind that they are a good team, and we've gone away from home. They've not lost at home in God knows how many matches. It's something ridiculous. So they're a really good team. They're a really good team, and it looked even Stevens to me. I think on 90 minutes, that 0-0 felt fair, absolutely fair. And I think this sounds like my match wrap up summary, and we've only got to the end of the first half. But I think that chance from James Collins in the first couple of minutes is the only thing where I think we should have just edged that. And that's not me calling out James Collins and saying that it's on him that we haven't taken, more from the game at all. But that chance was such a good one.
Yeah.
But that's the only opportunity where I think we should have taken that.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, look, yeah, we'll take a little bit of a break here, and then we'll come back and we will discuss the second half. Also in the second half, we'll be looking ahead to the weekend's game away at Salford. And there's a couple of other little bits that we'll talk about as well, including a lone player that is currently impressing away from the Imps. So, yes, we'll be back in just a second. And that's a break. Cool. Right, let's see who we've got in.
Has my internet come back to life a little bit?
Yes. Yeah, it's getting a bit better.
Or is it still iffy?
No, it's getting a bit better.
I think
There's a little bit of a delay.
I unplugged. Yeah. Should I come out and come back in again, or is that just too much faff?
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, you can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we will
start
lose
the comments.
Emily.
I'll come back in.
Yeah, we'll lose Emily for just a second, and then she'll come back in. Right, let's see who we've got in. So Andy is in. Andy Brown is in. Says onwards to Salford. Steve says, thank God Gary warned me it was an early this evening. I normally remember on Thursday. Yeah, we've at the request of Emily, we've gone live a little bit earlier tonight. Flossie is in, says hello everybody. Andy also said Sunday's one caught him out. It caught me out as well. I'm in the bloody group chat, and that one caught me out. Emily is back in the studio, and there she is back in the picture. Just saying, Andy was saying that Sunday's pod caught him out, and I was like, it caught me out, and I'm in the group chat. So, yeah, that was a fun one. Ollie is in, says evening all. Ian's in, says good evening. Who else have we got? Yeah, a bit of discussion around the attendance last night. I think we said we'd potentially sold 1,500, but the website said 1,377. So whether that was just 100 odd fans getting stuck in the traffic and not finding a way out, I don't know. Let's have a look. Richard Godson's in, says, evening, Bemily. Hope your journey home was better than the one there. Just about, yeah. I had some fun at a petrol station. Not like that. But yeah, that was all fun.
So said hello to Richard in the food queue. So hello.
Yes.
Again.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Who else have we got in? Ian says it's Halloween soon. It was, yeah, it is. It thankfully wasn't too scary last night. Let's have a look. Hi, kids. Podcast mum's in. How we doing?
Hey, mum.
Walter says evening. Keith Clifton says good evening to both and all watching. Blake's in, says evening both. Richard says Emily's internet must be haunted. That's probably what it is. Yeah. Jacob's in, says evening, good evening, Ben and Emily. Red Wimp says good turnout from us. I think it was. Yeah, it was a good one. And of course that is Podcast Dad. David Waltron is in, says hi, good evening. Who else? Lynn Bower is in, says good evening, Em. There we go. We've got 2
That's
messages
podcast auntie. Hello.
there.
We're all in tonight.
Absolutely. Andy Schneider's in, says very good evening to everyone. And MK Spokes is in as well. Says Max Power, love that name. He's the man whose name you mustn't touch, or you'd love to touch, but you must not touch. That's the Homer quote. Cool. And Red Wimp says, early is good. I got to get last night's Bake Off watch before Traitors. Of course, Celebrity Traitors. We'll find out the identity of the Shocker tonight, which I'm very excited about. Right, if we don't have any more hellos and everything else to do, shall we come back in?
Yeah, why not, eh?
Yeah, let's do it. Right, okay. In 3, 2, 1. And there we go. That is an advert of some description. We've said hello to a bunch of people on YouTube. It's all good. So, I think we'll probably do this before we start looking at the second half as a whole. But obviously, Bradford away was always going to be a bit of a poignant game for us, and I think there was maybe a little bit of disappointment that it happened to be on a Tuesday night following the international break. But I think it's probably important that we just take a second to mention that, because I think, if I remember rightly, this is the first time that the two clubs have met in the Football League since the Bradford fire, and it just felt, it felt like there was probably an air of poignancy around the game. Obviously, beforehand, Roger Bates was, laid a wreath along with I think it was Bradford's chairman on the memorial. It was nice to see, the memorial. I'd never been to Valley Parade before, so seeing that was quite special. And then, obviously, on 56 minutes, there was a round of applause that was observed by everybody in the stadium, and it felt really quite special, and it almost got me a little bit when it was going on. But yeah, it was just that kind of special game and that special moment, wasn't it, last night?
Yeah, it was. It was my first time to Bradford as well, so I made a special trip round to the memorial myself to have a look, and like you say, it was sort of special to see it, really. And with my dad, who obviously the Bradford fire was before my time, but my dad obviously can remember it well, so kind of having a moment with him to look at that was quite special. And yeah, I think I have to say, like I say, it was before my time, and as a Lincoln City fan, I'm well aware of, for my whole time supporting Lincoln City, about the tragic events that happened on that day. But there was a documentary on the television. I think it must have been on the 50th anniversary.
40th.
And the 40th. Yeah. And it really, I hadn't quite realised the level of, I don't know what the right word is, devastation, fear, horror, whatever. I found it really, really difficult to watch that documentary and to see it all unfold, because it was something I'd heard about, and I knew all about it and how tragic it was. But to kind of see it on television, it was, I found it really difficult to watch. And going there last night, it all meant a bit more to me, having watched that. If people haven't watched it, I think it was on BBC, and please watch it. It's a sort of one of those fantastic documentaries about something horrible. Yes. But yeah, we were walking to the ground, and there was just a really different vibe because of that. It's kind of something that is obviously more than football, and it brings two sets of fans together into one, which very rarely happens. And we're walking to the ground, and Bradford fans are coming up to us and saying, "Oh, what do you reckon tonight? How's it going to play out? And are you confident?" And you don't often have that chit chat very often. And the man who we were kind of walking alongside, going to the ground, said it's a shame that both teams can't win on an occasion like this, and it's just that never happens in foot. It never, that kind of sentiment is so rare. So yeah, special moment, especially when that applause went round the ground. I actually saw something on social media in the afternoon, somebody saying, is there a planned applause on 56 minute? Is something arranged? And all the comments were like, no, nothing's formally arranged, nothing's set up. But obviously it kind of then must have just sort of happened, which again is kind of moving in itself, that everybody there recognizes the importance of that and how important it is to come together in that moment. So yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I think we mentioned the documentary when it went out on the podcast, because I think that was around May that it went out. It's harrowing, but it's an important watch for people, I think. Yeah, I think Richard puts it well. He says, United in grief off the pitch, but rightly uncompromising on it. I think it was just, when you've got that bond between people that have shared that grief, it makes it more than a football match. And I think, yeah, the only thing that maybe could have heightened the day would have been if we'd have been able to play it on the Saturday originally, because I think it would have. I think it probably would have made for a better atmosphere and a better day all round. That sounds really flippant, but it's not meant to. So let's look at the second half then, because Bradford, I think they changed. Did they make a change at half time? They did, didn't they?
they did, yeah.
Andy Cook came on for Will Swan. Andy Cook, obviously, a player that he is. I think he's probably to Bradford what James Collins is to us. In that he will, he will get goals for you if you give him the time, or at least that's the assumption. And yeah, I think Bradford probably started the second half a bit brighter than we were anticipating. As I said in the first half of the podcast, there were points where it felt like we maybe got a little bit overrun in midfield. But on the whole, it still felt really even. We looked at there was kind of half chances here, there, and everywhere, wasn't there? It wasn't like there was a real gilt edge chance until the last couple of minutes. I think we had one really good chance, and Bradford definitely had two in the last couple of moments of the game. But I mean, we spoke about Collins in the first half of the pod. For me, the moment for James Collins where I just thought, oh, please, I just want you to score a goal. Just have it going off your arse. Just something. Just, you need to get something that comes off your body and ends up in the back of the net, because he is desperate to score. And there was a moment where he tried something incredibly acrobatic, and I think it felt to me at the time that he maybe had a little bit more time than he thought. And instead of taking control of it and, placing it, he took a wild swing at something, missed it, and I think he's just wound himself up a little bit too much. And I think he's at that stage where he's like, I've got to score or it's going to drive me mental.
Yeah, I think on James Collins, I think, look, I'm a really passionate Lincoln City fan. I hope everybody can see that. And I get swept up in the narrative, in the moment. I'm not somebody, I don't jump to conclusions, and I don't make snap judgments and snap decisions and all that kind of thing. But in the moment, you can get swept along with the narrative. And it's hard. It's quite hard not to get swept up in the narrative of, we haven't been able to score goals, but James Collins is now on the pitch. That's going to solve all our problems. And it didn't, did it? It didn't. It didn't. And he had some chances and he didn't take them. But neither did anybody else. So it's not a James Collins problem. Is it a problem?
Well, I think that's probably
that, scoring one goal in the last 4 games is a concern. Is it a problem or not?
I think that's the question, isn't it? And we actually again had this exact conversation with a few people in the Discord, and I think to say that it's not a concern is is not true. I think there is a little bit of a concern there where we've scored 1 in 4. We've got a maybe a bit of an issue scoring. We know that we're capable of it because look at what happened in the first part of the season. Is this the point at which Chris often mentions it and says, "Oh, that over the course of the season or over time things will even out. We were outperforming our stats. We were outperforming our numbers." Is this the stage at which they've started to just even out a little bit, or is there something possibly a little bit deeper? I don't think we'll have a problem for too much longer. It is a little bit concerning that we've got almost an embarrassment of riches in terms of attacking flair or attacking players that we've never had before over the past few years, and we've not been able to put the ball in the back of the net. It did feel again. I've only seen I've seen most of the game from Saturday. It felt then that we were putting chances over, we were missing chances here, there, and everywhere. And there is the school of thought where it's like as long as we're creating chances, it's fine. I almost wonder, what point does that become? What point does that become not okay? If that it's a terrible way of phrasing it, but you know what I mean.
Completely. Yeah, completely know what you mean. I think, you're completely right in that if you say the fact that we've only scored 1 goal in 4 games isn't a concern, then I think you're deluded. If that's not too strong, it's not like we need to be absolutely in panic mode, but I think you have to go, "Ooh, what's happening? Why aren't we scoring goals?" Like you say, with the chances are there. We took them before. And that's what, I think ultimately the concern, and this is going to sound so basic, but you have to score a goal to win a football match, don't you? And the reason we turn up to Lincoln City every week is because we want them to win football matches. And when they aren't scoring goals, you can't win football matches.
Yeah. It's
that's it. That's it.
It's just such a weird moment because, like I said earlier, there's no crisis because we're sat 5th in the table. Nobody expected us to be at that point. That it's not a crisis, but there is maybe a question to be had around and a discussion to be had around, what is it that's preventing us from scoring at the moment? And I honestly don't know the answer because we've got the talent, we've got the players, we're still playing decent football and we're getting in the spaces and we're getting the chances there. It's just, have they put helium in the footballs? Have we put lead weights in people's boots? Is it that's what's happening and they're just flying over the top? What I did find encouraging though was towards the end of the second half last night, we did start to get chances on target. We did start to have breaks that ended up forcing saves from the goalkeeper. There was a couple. There was one from Sonny Bradley actually from a corner, which took a deflection to go out for another corner. There were moments where you think, okay, we're starting to get it down again now. We're starting to get things on target. We're looking a bit more promising than we were earlier on. And I think the biggest chance for us in the second half fell to Ben House. Really, really lovely 1-2. Finds himself in a little bit of space and on the left-hand side of the box. My head almost says if he's 10 yards further back, he's got a chance to bend that around the keeper like he did against against Burton, and you think, yeah, he could do that. But yeah, it was a tight angle, but he did force, he kind of forced it into the keeper. The argument that I can see is that Collins is free on the edge of the 6-yard box. Is that one of those where in the moment he takes the effort when he should have squared it, Emily?
Again, it's one of them, isn't it? It was if he squares it to James Collins and he blasts it over the bar like he did in the second minute, then we're saying, why didn't you have a shot yourself?
Exactly.
It's so difficult to say, isn't it? It was a lovely move and a really nice 1-2 with I think it was with a Bitquoo, wasn't it? Doing that kind of holding up the ball, laying it off in a 1-2 there, which is really nice move. And the angle was tight and it's the keeper's near post. So you've got to do well to beat the goalkeeper from there. But it felt like a bit of a weak shot. I don't know if I wanted him to just put his foot through it and just power over placement, because if you're going to beat the keeper from there, you need to smash it to beat him for pace, or get a ricochet, or palm it back into the middle. Maybe Collins picks it up from there. It felt like a bit of a weak effort. I don't know. It's disappointing, isn't it? It's disappointing that we're missing these chances that we're doing so well to create. And what's that song lyric from? Is it James? And Gary quotes it all the time.
If I hadn't seen such riches, I could live with being poor.
That's the one. I could live with being poor. And I mean, that's probably it. It's probably that. If we hadn't been scoring up goals and beating Peterborough, and Luton and Plymouth and Reading and all, and then if we hadn't had all that and we were just where we are now, I think we felt spoiled in the early part of the season, and now we're just wanting that again.
Yeah, no, I'd agree 100%. I think it's I think every team will go through a bit of a dip in form at some point, and I don't necessarily think it's even a dip in form. I think it's just for the majority of the players, it's not necessarily a dip in form. It's just we can't quite seem to get that ball in the back of the net. But having said that, I'll come back to what we said a little bit earlier on. A point away at Bradford's a good result. Whether we scored or
100%.
not, a point away at Bradford is an excellent result given their start to the season and their their record at home. So anything additional to that would have essentially just been, icing on the cake. And I think if we'd have taken 3, Bradford fans may well have felt aggrieved. I think if we'd have lost, we would have felt aggrieved. But just trying to go through the other chances that we had. I think there was there was the shot from Bradley, one which I think Gary mentioned in our group chat that I don't think was even on the highlights, was a chance from Tom Hamer, which was one of the better chances. I'll be honest, I can't remember that one even happening.
No, I can't either.
No, so but yeah, look, I again, without wanting to go too far into it, I think Bradford probably had two very good chances to win the game right at the death in stoppage time. There was a ball that went right across the face of the goal in the 6-yard box. I have no idea how Wright hasn't managed to get on the end of that, because any touch on that and it goes in. But I think we were probably counting our blessings a little bit after that one had happened. There was another one. So that wasn't in stoppage time. That was just before, and then in stoppage time, basically, 2 really good saves from Wickens. It was the other Wright who had the shot, I think, which forced him into a really good save low down. And then there was a point blank header. When you look at it at first, you think, "Oh, he's just put his hands up," but that's a really good save from George Wickens to turn that one over the bar.
Yeah, he made both of those were really, really good saves. I think the second one probably for me is a better save, having to get his arms up there quickly and push it over the bar. And you were sat a row behind me and further along. I turned around and looked at you in those final kind of few minutes, and you had your head in your hands pretty much, just trying to see if we could hold on for the point. But we did, I think, defensively we were resolute. Wickens was called into action absolutely when he needed to be, because he hadn't really been tested up until that point. I mean, neither keeper was really tested a lot. Those 2 saves from Wickens are probably the biggest saves of the entire game, and they came in quick succession. But yeah, you were looking very stressed. But we defended well. We defended really well, and limited them. Like I say, majority of the first half, at least, their chances were outside of the area, kind of long range shots. And I gave my man of the match to Sonny Bradley. We both did after the game, because I think he was just, I think I described it as quietly excellent, because he sort of, didn't stand out. Like, you know, I don't know. I can't quite describe it. It didn't stand out to me as like, wow, he has been absolutely immense. But he was just always there. He was just always there, clearing it, kicking it, heading it, tackling. Always there. When we needed him to be. So he got my man of the match.
There was one instance that kind of I was on the fence with who to give it to, because I thought, Tom Hamer also had a very good game and Adam Reach was fantastic again. But the moment for me that solidified it for Sonny Bradley was the ball was, I think there was a ball that one of the Bradford lads was chasing, and Bradley had to make a tackle. And it's one of those, if he gets it an inch either way wrong, he's walking off the pitch. But he got it spot on at speed, and he managed to get not just slide in and clear it, but he slid in. The ball, I think, ended up with Ben House. And it was like, you know what?
Yes. Yeah.
That's genuinely brilliant. And I just thought, you don't get moments of applause for a tackle that often, but there's a few where you think, okay, yeah, that's getting people back. And the obvious one is, Bozzy against Peterborough a few years ago. That was the moment where it's like, yeah, you almost hear the snap of the ball on the boot. But Sonny Bradley was immense last night, and I don't think anybody across the back had a particularly bad game. I don't really think there were too many people you could say had a bad game. I just think it was a moment or two of composure in the final third that, had it gone the other way, we may have come away with something different. But right, we are approaching the end, but I will ask one question briefly, Emily. Was it worth postponing the game?
Do you know what? I think, without just on pure top of my head, yes, I think it probably was. It probably was. Obviously, we wouldn't have a Bikwu who played almost all of the game yesterday because he'd be out on international duty. And then you could argue we would play Draper instead, and all of that, but we wouldn't have had him in the side. There's also the question mark over Conor McGrandles at that time, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Who I think in a game like that, I don't know if I would feel completely confident with putting someone else in there in that kind of a game. What I will say is that when I did my score prediction before the match, I said that I would be more confident going into that game if it was on the original date. I felt like we had more momentum at that point, which has dwindled a little bit because of the lack of goals. But I think it was probably the right thing to do. What do you think?
I think it was right to postpone it. I mean, I think I think the fact that we've come away with something, obviously, we were doing okay, but the other side of it is Bradford were absolutely flying. So, there's two sides to the coin. We were doing well, but Bradford were doing very, very well. That was their fourth draw in a row last night. So I think it worked out in our favour. And like you say, the situation around Conor McGrandles at the time was one of those moments where you go, okay, fair enough. I think that was the right decision. But okay, there's a couple more bits that we wanted to discuss briefly. A bit of breaking League One news. I say breaking; it's been kind of in the ether for about an hour at this point. Peterborough have got a new manager. They have appointed former Swansea boss Luke Williams on a 2.5-year deal. Slightly surprised. Slightly surprised it's not Grant McCann, but there we go. That was such a weird statement. I know Gaz and Chris spoke about it on Sunday rather, but that was such a weird statement. Oh, he's part of the fabric of the club and all this. It's like, but you're sacking him. What do you want us to say? Yeah, but so there we go. New Peterborough boss in situ. there may not be Tom Cleverley at Plymouth much longer. In terms of League One managers, because he has been given the vote of confidence from the Plymouth board. Plymouth said, "We all recognise our very disappointing start to the season. As a club, we need stability, and Tom Cleverley retains our full backing as head coach." Who have Plymouth got on Saturday? Let's have a quick look. Plymouth play Wickham away on Saturday. So, do we expect to see? Do we expect to see Tom Cleverley sacked on Saturday night, Emily?
Sorry, you cut out on me, Ben. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
My back.
So, do we expect to see?
Sorry, it's me. I cut out on you.
Okay. With all of the news and with all of the backings of the Plymouth board, do we expect to see Tom Cleverley out of a job on Saturday night?
I don't think it'll be that quick. But then I don't think he'll be there much longer. I mean, how much longer can you back him for if it keeps going the same way? The fans are not happy. They are not happy. A good friend of mine is a Plymouth Argyle fan, and he's such a calm, mild-mannered person, and then all of a sudden he's enraged. He's fuming at the moment with the football, which is very unlike him, but that's how it gets us all, isn't it? I saw a video on social media of Plymouth fans last night at Mansfield singing "Green Away," aha, aha, I hate it, aha, aha, which I thought at least they've still got a sense of humour.
Yeah, that's the thing about football, isn't it? And football fans is no matter what's going on, if you can have a joke at your own expense, you're probably fine. So that's kind of a whistle stop tour of League One news. Andy says here, not sure they can actually afford to sack Cleverley. It's a fair point.
I think it is a fair point. There's lots of question marks about how they've invested their money and what they've spent it on. I think they've had a funny transfer window as well. You think they'd have some funds behind them, but where they're putting it, perhaps not in the necessary places.
Not in the right places. No. Allegedly, we should say allegedly. There is no legal basis in what Emily is saying. Please don't sue Stacey West. So the final thing that we're going to talk about tonight before we disappear, and it's a nice little thing to end on. It looks like Zane is getting on really well over in Northern Ireland, which is delightful to see, because we've had success of sending players over to the Republic of Ireland over the past few years on loan. It's nice to see somebody else making a name for themselves out there. So Coleraine drew 2-2 last night, and Okoro wasn't on the score sheet, but the Belfast Telegraph did say in their match report that the loan signing of Zane Okoro has been a real coup for Coleraine so far. He managed to he was playing for 53 minutes last night. So really, really good to see that young Zane is doing well. I don't anticipate him coming back early from that loan. I'm not sure whether the Northern Irish League is the same time frame as the League of Ireland. I will fully admit to not knowing that one. But it sounds like he's doing well out there, and all the power to him. Have you cut out on me?
Yeah, it's nice to see, isn't it? It's nice to see whenever our young lads go out on loan. And sorry, am I back?
Yes.
Oh no, there's a delay, isn't there? I'm just going to keep talking. Yeah, it's nice to see that our lads going out on loan and doing well. It feels like a nice sort of following in the footsteps of those that have gone before them with these loans over the Irish Sea, which is nice. And I think we know Zane's got talent. We know that there were big clubs or a big club sniffing around in the summer. So it's great that he's actually on our books. And yeah, if he can keep putting in good performances while out on loan and come back to us a better, stronger, more experienced player, then I'm here for it.
Absolutely. You know, Zane will go away and come back like Daft Punk. Better, stronger, faster. And what was the other one? I can't remember. I've not listened to Daft Punk in quite a while. Anyway, I think that is going to do us for this episode of the Stacey West podcast, primarily because Emily needs to go and give her internet service provider a bit of a kick in to make sure that everything is all good going forward. But thank you very much for joining us, everybody, and we will see you on Sunday, where we'll try and talk about the Salford game. As always, up the Imps.
Up the Imps.